how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Stitches. This is a collection of short stories written by Hirokatsu Kihara and features illustrations by Junji Ito. And I guess this is one of those things I should get out of the way really quickly. You hear Junji Ito and you expect manga. There is one manga story at the end as a special bonus, but for the most part, these are illustrated short stories written in prose. And honestly, instead of thinking manga, think something closer to scary stories to tell in the dark. These are all very short stories, but all very heavily illustrated. It's not like one or two Junji Ito pieces. Junji Ito put in a lot of artwork to these. The book can be read really fast. Get ready for a lot of cool little doses of true paranormal styled horror. The guy who wrote the short stories, Junji Ito actually adapted before. He was one of the writers from Mimi's Tales of Terror. And in turn, if you guys like the stories from Mimi's, you'll probably like this one as well. That whole idea of doing true paranormal stuff, this happened to me when I was younger, that type of deal. And the idea that the writer sees himself as more of a collector of these stories, that is an interesting idea. And I also did enjoy seeing the different cultures, you know, calling in a Buddhist priest or using a shrine or something. It was interesting to see a different perspective on true paranormal hauntings. I will say, because these are supposed to be true stories, it doesn't always go as big and as over the top as Junji Ito sometimes goes. Although there are a few really fantastic visuals and over-the-top moments, don't expect like the ending of Uzumaki or anything. But overall, I did like how it was a little bit different, how it was true paranormal stories, and to give me a little collection of short stories that I can sit down in one night, read through, get some fun little experiences out of. It's a short but sweet book, and the artwork by Ito really adds something to it. And I also like that Viz put these two books out really close to each other, so they are kind of companions to each other, and now we have both of them. It's fun, and if you liked Mimi's and you don't mind reading more words, I'd say check it out. Just again, know that it's different when you get into it. But anyway, in order to analyze this further, I'm going to switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a little bit of the art and talk a bit about each story. No major spoilers, but I want to show you guys just a little bit more. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Stitches. Right off the bat, I want to say I really do love the cover. The creepy face staring at you with this blank expression, super cool. And I won't spoil where it came from, but it is actually from the inner artwork by Junji Ito, and they reused it as the cover. And when you get to this image, it is a fun reveal. But anyway, there's the eyes, which they added the red to, and you get to see the color kind of creeping in from the spine. There's the side with the Viz logo and the curved lettering. I do love that Stitches has the line through it and the letters kind of act like stitches. There's the back with the mouth, and we get the fun concentric circles on the inside. Summary of the book, and then T plus Viz signature, $18. I do also want to say that, yeah, it does fold out into the full face. That's a cool, creepy face. After that, we open up the book, nice red end papers, and we get the little scratch of something, and then Stitches, and then all of a sudden, full face, Stitches, and credits. And then after that, we get a table of contents page, which I absolutely like. We get not only the story names and pages, but below them, we get a character from each story done with this blank face motif. That's cool. We also get the bonus manga, and it tells you the prose stories read Western style. The manga is on the back, and it reads Japanese style, so you have to flip the book over to read that. And kind of wedged in the middle is the afterword and about the authors. Let's crack the book open to that really quick. The afterword, you can read that before if you want. It doesn't spoil any of the stories, but it talks about how he met the people and how it came to be. The title Stitches is actually a reference to stitching the artwork together with these stories, and he says that it used to be more common than it is now to feature prose stories in manga magazines, but there he is in France by the Eiffel Tower when the first issue came out. There's the About the Authors section, and we get to see that, yeah, last time they worked together was on Mimi's Tales of Terror. Definitely would recommend it. And also, after that, we get the classic, stop, turn the book around. And before we dive in any further, I do want to say that this is slightly smaller than a regular manga. Like I have here, 2 examples. Mimi's Tales of Terror, that's the regular size for manga. And then No Longer Human, which they famously printed in this slightly smaller size. And we can see that Stitches lines up with No Longer Human. And I get that this is different than what Junji Ito normally does. I get having it in the smaller size, but still, kind of wish it was more uniform, but at least No Longer Human has a friend. Anyway, after that, let's take quick looks at the story. I do want to go quickly because there is a lot of stories and they are really short and I don't want to spoil anything. No major spoilers. The first story in the book is Face, and we get to see that all the stories are called Stitch instead of stories. But we get this girl, her and her husband, move out into the countryside, and when they're in the countryside, one day the husband wakes up, the wife is unresponsive, and she wanders into a graveyard before passing out. And that's when the husband notices she has a tumor on her neck, but it's not just a tumor, it's in the shape of a man's face. Yeah, we're gonna get a cool sequence later where he brings her to a Buddhist priest and there is a special way to deal with this. But man, that's a cool Junji Ito visual there. After that, we get Stitch 2, Library, and I do love this little picture of her on the bottom. Jay told me this story of an experience when she was in junior high. Really adds to the real feel of it. And also you see how they chop up and use Junji Ito's artwork as extra decoration. Where did they find this picture of a face? It's from this image. And we get to see this strange girl running through the halls. Basically, the idea is our main character sees her running into the library, but no one else noticed her. However, when she runs out of the library, the librarians notice her because she runs through the doors. So a creepy little ghost girl. And I do also like with the story is the storyteller's parents are on the PTA, and they have a very business-like way to go about trying to get rid of this girl. It's a fun story, but a classic, there's something in my school, and it ends on a super cool idea. It's really creepy. But anyway, Stitch 3 is From the Sea, and we get this group of girls. They're at one of their grandparents' houses, and they like being on vacation, but it's kind of boring, and they don't have much to do. So they take a hike up to a temple, and they think they see some glowing lights when suddenly they're bombarded by balls of light streaming up from the ocean. In America, we kind of mock spirit orbs. You know, we think they're just lens flares or something. But orbs have a totally different and more significant meaning in Japan from what I gather. But yeah, very on the true horror style side. And then after that, Stitch 4, Festival of the Dead. And this is going to be about this young girl. They're at a holiday called Obon, a day where the dead can communicate with the living, and she is going to see the spirit of her neighbor's grandpa going into her house, and she'll continue to have contact with the spirit periodically throughout her life, and it does lead to a really cool over-the-top moment at the end. It is kind of weird what they did to the artwork here. I think they're trying to make it like 2 successive panels, but yeah, kind of overlapping at the spine. A little weird, but this is fun and really does have the true story feel, periods of my life, reoccurring image. It's fun. Anyway, Stitch 5 is the play, And we actually get to see Junji Ito's take on Pinocchio here. Some drama students find a sealed box in the back of their classroom, and it has the Pinocchio doll, a script for the Pinocchio play, and a black suit that the stagehand can wear to hide, and that way it looks like Pinocchio's alive. However, of course, strange occurrences will happen with the doll and the suit after they open the box. And I really do like, we get a double page splash of Junji Ito's take on Pinocchio. That's cool, but also with the way, like I talked about, the design of the book, they take that element and then use it as side decorations on the next page. This is a fun story. Anyway, after that we have Stitch 6, Folk Dance, and this is a guy who's in college, and he's going on a college retreat with another college, so there's a lot of people that don't really know each other there, and he's the photographer, and he goes, I like that I got out of chores because I have photography duties, but I also miss lots of fun things, like when they have the folk dance, and I couldn't dance with this beautiful girl, and everybody there notices her, everybody wants to dance with her, but who is she? She's strange, and no one seems to really know who she is. I like the idea of a big group of people, and you might get some outsider in there, and no one would really know, you know? It's a fun idea. Anyway, after that, Stitch 7 is the kimono, and we're going to get the day before festival, someone breaks into the main character's daughter's room, and it's this other girl that runs around parading the kimono around. And yeah, a strange idea that someone would break into your house, but it'd be a little girl. And when the mother confronts her, yeah, it turns out she's got no face. And that's where that no face motif that's in the rest of the book comes from. But this is going to trigger a memory in the mother, and we get a fun, interesting reveal with this one as well. I really like what happens here. Stitch 8 is called Snow Day, and we get our main girl there in the jacket, and she says she hates the snow because she lives on this hill, and it's super hard to climb up once it's all packed down without falling down, and it's hard to get back home. However, she meets this other girl who is in a thin summer dress and barefoot. So that's super weird. Why is she not affected by the cold? It's going to occupy her mind for a little bit, and she'll eventually have another encounter with this girl, and let's just say that's far more terrifying. Lastly, the final stitch is called Lips, and we get to see the little lips decorating the side, and we get this girl and her wardrobe, and I do have to say this is one of the more surreal stories in here. This girl has a wardrobe, and she wakes up one day, and there's a paper on it, but it's actually kind of like embedded into it, and it's sealing up the doors, and she's like, why is there a paper here? Well, that's strange, but it gets downright bizarre when a pair of giant lips grows out of the paper. Yeah, that is absolutely surreal and strange, and I have no idea, like, what's going on there. And eventually something a little more creepy happens. It's not the scariest thing ever, but boy, is that last story quite bizarre. But that's the last of the regular short stories. And then we go to the manga, reading again from the other side. And it says that this story was collected by the guy that wrote all the short stories, but it was never published before, and Junji Ito did the manga to celebrate the book coming out, and we get the little gulp at the bottom. Bonus manga, summer graduation trip, and the way that this is all in soft tones makes me think that this was originally a color thing, but obviously when it gets collected over here, they turned it to black and white. But anyway, you get these two girls that are on a vacation, best friends, and they're going to a nice hotel with a sauna in it. They decide to go to the baths, and they go down a really long and dark corridor down these stairs. They thought, well, how deep are we even going? And there's Junji Ito making a hallway scary. But of course, we also see a mysterious woman coming up from the bottom. They ask her, is the onsen really down there? And she nods. So yeah, a creepy, ominous figure. But obviously, when they finally get to the bottom and finally get to the baths, there's going to be something creepy going on down there. Overall, though, it is a fun story going down to the basement and finding something creepy down there and a big creepy pool of water. Yeah, the ending manga's fun, and being a manga, it feels a little bit more like Mimi's, you know? Anyway, though, those are all really fun stories. Again, the true haunting feel is a little different from normal Junji Ito, and again, know that with the exception of the bonus story, all these stories are prose, but if you're okay with, essentially, I think they normally call these like light novels in Japan, is that the right term? It's not exactly that. But if you're okay with reading the stories and having illustrations rather than full-on manga, this is pretty good. I read it in a single night. I really enjoyed it, really had fun, and I do like every now and then getting something a little different out of Ito, so I can recommend it, but I know that it's not going to be for everyone, just being a different format, though. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Junji Ito playlist. If you want to see me talk about more Ito, I've talked about some of the movies, a lot of the manga, including Mimi's Tales of Terror. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.